Hello. In the previous stream I looked at this game, Mobil Gundam Final Shooting, and thought the sound emulation seemed a bit off, so I took the time after the stream to look into it and concluded that yeah, there were definitely some issues with the sound emulation, and I looked at older videos of the game running in MAME, and it looks like there have always been issues with the sound emulation on this one, so I thought, you know, I'd better look and see if it's something obvious, because the sound chip here that uses is fairly well emulated at this point. I mean, if we ring up the details here, it's using the Ensoniq ES5506, and yeah, so what was wrong? Well, the ROM loading. I mean, it's as simple as that, really. I believe the Ensoniq chip can play back either 8-bit or 16-bit samples, and if the samples are 8-bit only, you're meant to load them on every other byte, not every byte. And in the case of this game, it's using the 8-bit sample mode, but there's a pair of sample ROMs, and the second sample ROM was being loaded into the other bytes rather than being loaded elsewhere, so all the samples were coming from the same ROM rather than properly using both the ROMs. So loading each sample into a different region and having both treated as 8-bit regions for playback of the samples fixed it. So yeah, now you can hear when it's going through the attract mode, like just before the title screen, there's the metallic crunch sound. If I credit it, there's a credit sound now. So the thing will continue. That quite a few of the sound effects that were just playing as sort of tones before are now playing as the sounds they're meant to be. And like I say, I don't think this has ever been correct in MAME before. It looks like when it was first added, the sound hookup was incorrect. So this will be a bug fix that will be in the next version, which should be next Wednesday. I think the last Wednesday of the month. The last day of the month this month. So yeah, it doesn't really change anything to do with how the game plays, but like I say, before the sound did feel incomplete, and so I wasn't too surprised to find out there was an issue with the hookup. So once we get to the game, which we will do after this overly long intro plays, then I'll show you some of the other bits that now sound better. So here we go. Right. So first and most noticeable thing, the gunshot sound. There is now a gunshot sound. Before it was just playing a tone when you shot. Now you actually have a sound associated with shooting your gun. There's a sound associated with the enemy missiles being launched. And you know, overall, it doesn't feel like there's loads of bits missing anymore, which isn't really surprising because before, say, half the samples weren't being used, and that's not a good situation. So I'll play a little bit. So I'm not going to play it too much because you did see it on the previous stream. And it's just a light gun blaster, like most others, sort of space gunny, Alien 3 steel gunner like. It's okay, but if you like Gundam, then you'll probably enjoy this one. Destructible backgrounds, set of hardware, zooming sprites, which is quite rare. I mentioned all this on the last stream anyway, so if you watched the last stream and you've heard me talk about the game, then there's nothing I can really say about it, except, you know, now it sounds better. And it's always good to find things like this. It's a simple fix, practically, you know, a line of code being moved is all that it took to fix this. Slight modification to where it loaded after moving it, but say, tiny fix, which I'm surprised hasn't been noticed and fixed earlier. But sometimes you just don't realise or don't look for these things. So I don't know, it wasn't fixed. It had been like that for many years in MAME. I mean, as long as I can remember, as long as I could find any trace of it being emulated, it had the same problem. So I don't know, if you liked the game and always thought the sound was a bit off, then give it a look when the next MAME comes out and you'll probably be pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to give this, I'll probably play it for another 5 minutes or so. A little bit sparse, this level, compared to the one we just finished. So that's just how the game is. Might be more enjoyable with 2 players. It's not a bad game, it's fast, smooth and responsive. satisfying big explosions. And the enemies don't take too many shots to kill, you know, as soon as they pop up, blast a few rounds into them and any of them will be toast. Though yeah, if you're too slow you do take damage. It's got auto fire if you hold down 5 there. The music seems a little repetitive. I think this is the same music that's playing during the track mode. Not the most ambitious of games in that sense. Now I'll probably be looking at another Gundam game after this. Not one that has been a bug fix, but I did realise that there is another Gundam game that I haven't covered on these yet. Let me just set it actually. Here we go. It's not bad. I think Luca emulated this in the first place. Which is a variant of the SSV hardware. I said it's SSV hardware before, but it does have the additional, say, sprite scaling hardware that SSV doesn't normally have. So it's the sprite chip. So it's an extended version of that hardware. There aren't many extended versions of that hardware. It's not uncommon to see extended versions of hardware in general in the arcades. I mean, there's some that are emulated better than others. Jaleco's Mega System 32 extension for the F1 game is not yet emulated, for example, but that seems to be an entire maths DSP rather than just extra video chips, although it has extra video chips too. I'd like to see that done one day, but I'm not doing any progress on that one for many years. I don't really know where to start. Continue for a credit or two because I just said play it a little bit longer. But yeah, after this, I don't think this will be a full 3-hour stream this time because I wanted to, you know, I don't usually do 2 3-hour streams in a row on one day after another. But I thought, you know, since I just fixed this issue earlier today, I should really just show off the fix and show that it sounds better. Makes sense. I think people, the feedback I've got suggests that, you know, people watching appreciate that. When I'm showing off bug fixes, ones that are happening, you know, recently. So, seems to be one of the things that people like to see. Maybe more so if it's a popular game and this is not so much a popular game, but it just shows that things are always improving. But you know, doing these streams is helpful, not just in terms of you know, entertaining people, but also in resourcing bug fixes like this when I find bugs. Hey Lee, how you doing? You been enjoying your weekend? And I found a few bugs on the stream so far, a few things that needed clarifying and fixed them. And sometimes they're, you know, recent ones, sometimes they're long-standing things that have never worked in MAME. This one being, you know, one of the latter, because I'm pretty sure it was just loaded incorrectly when it was first added. I guess the sound emulation just wasn't as good when it was first added, so probably didn't get noticed. Yeah, I'm good. I was not feeling too great earlier, but picked up as the days gone along, and decided, you know, I'll sit down and stream a bit before maybe tuning into a few other streams again, which is how I usually spend my weekends, really. Watching other people on YouTube providing entertainment. Wind down maybe a bit of Big Clive's channel, Big Clive Live, and see if he sets fire to anything. Maybe his beard. I'm not setting fire to my beard though, that would be silly. But yeah, so let's shoot these things. Now there's another gun shooter I want to talk about where I know there's a bug in it a bit later, and I think it's a bug that I'm going to try and look into fixing at some point, maybe during the next cycle, because it's probably a simple one to fix. But, I don't know, it would just mean sharing a little less code with another game. Anyway, I'll game over on this, and now you should be able to see you've got a nice crunchy game over sound too, and that was again just playing a tone before. So yeah, this was a Mobil Gundam Final Shooting, and it does now sound better than it did before, and better than it did yesterday when I streamed it. So there you go. That's a nice Banpresto logo. I think I said that before. Right, volume down, because that had to be turned up a fair bit. So this one will be quite loud. And yeah, while we're on the subject of gun games, I may as well look at this one, haven't I? It begins with M. This is Mechanized Attack by SNK. 1989. Now, this is similar hardware to Beastbusters, but not the same. And I think therein lies the issue. It's treating everything as the same as Beastbusters, including the priority scheme. And while Beastbusters' priorities were fixed, you know, because it's still a little loud, I'm going to turn down a little bit more. While Beastbusters' priorities were fixed in recent years, so the zombies go behind some of the foregrounds, in this game there's at least one scene where the priorities are still broken. And I think that's because it uses the priorities, you know, it uses the chip in a different way. It uses similar video chips, similar sprite chips, but the mixing setup I think is a bit different. I think the sound balance is maybe a little bit off here too. The sound effects are a bit too loud on some of the things. Again, these are things I have to look into when I tackle this one, which I'm gonna have a little look into it after the next release, I think. Yeah, those sound effects do seem very, very loud there. But that's not the issue I was thinking about. I think that might be a recent thing with some of the sound changes and might need rebalancing. But, anyway. Can't remember how far into the game the issue actually occurs. I know there's quite a nasty bug in the driver to work around other issues. And yeah, that sound we're getting, I don't remember that before. So, you had a high score for support for this one. Ah, right. That's the high score.dat stuff, is it? Yeah, I know that gets included in MAME these days, isn't it? Because there's the whole high score plugin. Yeah. So let me have a look at the slider controls. Try turning down some of the channels. Nope, not that channel. This is not successfully adjusting the balance, but that's a little bit better. Not being drowned out by helicopters now. But yeah, sometimes you do have to adjust these. Yeah, I think a lot of people appreciate the high score support, don't they? It's not authentic, but it's nice to be able to keep track of your own scores. So yeah, it's one of those things people can contribute, I feel. I am dead. I think my balance is even worse now. You can use highscore.dat, I think. It's, you know, it usually works. There's a few games that have sort of anti-cheat logic in them where it does cause issues. But for the most part, I think it's okay. Yeah. Hey Casper, how you doing? I mean, I think, yeah, there are definitely games that don't like values being injected into RAM at startup, and somewhere if you reset them at the wrong time, you'll end up with quite messed up high score tables. But that ended up being a thing on that Pac-Man plug and play as well. There was a bug in the Gallagher emulation on it, and if you crashed the game, its internal high score tracking would actually result in a very corrupt high score table. But, minor bit of trivia there. Nice little spotlight effect here. Obviously just makes it a lot more difficult, but can't see anything. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's not a natural thing, and it can go wrong. I mean, this is why it was dropped for quite a while in MAME, because we were just getting too many bug reports of, you know, high score corrupting stuff and too much hassle. But these days, relatively, there's so many debugging features and everything else that can corrupt things in far more serious ways. It seemed a bit silly not to have it at all. And the plug-in system made it nice and easy to support outside of, you know, the core code. So it returned some years ago now. Right, glad to hear it, Casper, and thank you for joining again today. I know you joined in yesterday too, so you know, always good to see people joining us as regular. Same for MAME fan. I mean, you know, MAME fans here rather often, and that's always good. Always good to have a chat. Always good to hear what MAME fans been playing as well. Yeah. Have you been playing anything today, MAME fan? I can't remember which part of this game has the problem, actually. Maybe it's one of the clone sets that has different level ordering. Because I don't actually remember this part of the game. I'm sure I played it before. But, yes. It's not a bad shooter, really, is it, for an SNK one? Not really a genre that did much of. Beastbusters, Beastbusters Second Nightmare. What other SNK shooters were there? Virtual Racing or VR headsets. VR has many meanings. If you say VR in a MAME scene, I'm just thinking Virtual Racing, but maybe you mean actual, you know, a VR headset. I think we still need to fix up VR a bit, don't we? Since the co-processor emulation went in proper. Oh dear. Yeah, I definitely have to rebalance the sound on this one. I'm not happy with the sound balance I've got now rather than the boot of sound balance. This guy takes too many shots. It's also possible last time I played this, I just put the cheats on and well, there we go, actually hitting him now. Apparently my aim is not quite right on before. There we go. Alright. Okay, yeah, Radar Scope. Have you been using the latest MAME from Radar Scope then? Has that fixed your issue with the blue, as we found on stream? And Monster Farm Jumps. I think I played Monster Farm Jump briefly, didn't I? That's a nice fun one. And Shock Troopers, yeah. Shock Troopers 2, I find if you overclock the CPU, it's enjoyable. Otherwise, it's one of those NeoGeo games with far too much slowdown. And Technomancer, yeah. One of the ZN1 3D ones, that one, isn't it? Not bad. Is that Star Gladiator 2 or is that Star Gladiator 1? Or is that a different game? Yeah, the discrete sound improvements are fantastic. I really like them. They've made me actually go back and check out a lot of those games that I've not played in years, and again look for bugs that can be fixed in them, fix up things in them, and yeah, I really like how some of those have turned out. Well, if you want Shock Troopers 2 to look authentic, then you know leave it at the lower clock. But it's just a bit too slow, isn't it? I don't know. That was my general feeling whenever playing Shock Troopers 2. It just slows down so much all the time. It's like Metal Slug 2. Yeah, I mean the C chip does manage things like the difficulty, so I guess before it was just too easy because it, you know, the rank control and stuff I think's handled by it, and it resets it. And, one of the problems with the bootleg C chip is it actually didn't reset the rank properly, so it would just get harder and harder and harder, I believe. So the actual C chip emulation will change the difficulty of that one. That's interesting. I don't know why you'd be getting the issue and I wouldn't then. Maybe because I'm just using the standard MAME and the LSL. I don't think there've been any major changes to it. If you saw the previous stream I did, I looked at the version of Metal Slug 2 that Trap 15 had modified, the so-called Metal Slug 2 Turbo. And he found that a lot of the slowdowns in Metal Slug 2 were just due to bad programming. So really easy fixes in the end. Apparently, this is where there's priority bugs in the game. This is the bug that I want to look at some point, because those jets that just came out there, you saw they just appeared straight above the floor. They're meant to appear out of the hole there. So these tiles down here have a higher priority, I believe. I think that might be this area here might be meant to cover them. It's on a different tile map, and this is the usual ground. So the sprites are meant to be behind this, but in front of this maybe. But instead the sprites are over everything. That needs me to look into it. Well, if you saw that, if you saw Metal Slug X, you saw that SNK themselves fixed most of the issues with that, and Trap was able to fix some of them. But I mean, the game engine had undergone significant work since Metal Slug 2, so can't make it as fast as Metal Slug X, but still some really, really bad programming Metal Slug 2 really that shouldn't have shipped, but it did, and the rest is history really, I would say. Yeah, anyway, that was that bug. So that is a bug that I want to look at some point, maybe in the next cycle, because I think if I split the video emulation code a bit from Beastbusters, it'll be able to easy enough to add the priority handling for that case, because I do think it differs from Beastbusters. But anyway, I don't need to show any more of Mechanized attack, I think, because I just wanted that on video so that when I do get around to fixing it, if I get around to fixing it and can fix it, then people can look back on that video, or that, you know, showing the bug there and what was wrong with it. Right, shall we play a different game with metal in the title? One I actually quite like. I've not played it in many years. But this is Metal Clash, a 1985 game from Data East. So one of the earlier Data East games, really. Well, definitely one of the early ones that were using Data East's name rather than Deco, I think. But yeah, this is flying beat 'em up, I guess. You get the idea from the track mode, but let's put in a coin and play it. So here we go. So, you know, there are plenty of games where you're flying around, punching and shooting. There's some beat 'em ups. Astra Superstars, the STV one's a one-on-one fighter where you're flying around. There's a few others. Funky Jet in some ways feels similar as a single screen platformer where you're flying around beating enemies up. And I suppose the other sort of combat games that have aerial aspects, the Dragon Ball Fighters, are kind of similar. But yeah, this isn't a bad game. It's got a little bit of slow down. But you know, for an early Data East one, I quite like it. So don't. It can be quite tricky. There's somebody cheering you on down there. Energy up. Good. I won. But yeah, I prefer this over Superman. I mean, Superman is more scrolling stage based, I would say, whereas this has the whole bi-directional scrolling, so you're going left and right, unless I've just not played Superman enough. But, flying superhero, I guess. Yeah, you could do a Superman game just like this. Superman's a C-chip protected game, although not a very well protected game. The C-chip's really just providing a bunch of 68k code. So, a bit of a waste of a C-chip, the Superman one. Kick in the head. Kick in the head. Oh, don't get there. Oh, warning sign. Oh, I did it. I think we both died, but it still counted as a win for me. Again, this is one that I don't really see anybody talking about, but it's a decent game. I'm not aware of any ports to any major platforms. It seems to be one that's kind of forgotten as far as Data East games go. Should be energy up? Yep. Gotta love a decent robot fighter. Bit of a frog robot. Oh, no, I want the energy. There we go. Obviously, the stage structure is just you kill the little robots, then you get to this robot. This one's now got a shield. Make it a little bit more trickier, and I got wrecked. Absolutely wiped out. But yeah, okay. Guess we have to attack them from the bottom. Easier said than done. Oh, he's lost his shield. Stay losing your shield. There you go, your shield's gone. Nope. Again, it should technically be a tie. Yeah, I mean, you've got your little men in the background cheering you on, haven't you? I don't know how common that was at this time. I guess animated backgrounds weren't always that common, were they? So, yeah, maybe it is one of the early games to do that. Some games even went to the lengths of having time up entirely in ROM, so they couldn't really be animated easily without extra sprites. Some Cebu games did that. Dead Angel. Even some Sega games did too, I think, and that Monmoko, that has fixed time ups. Yeah, it is always nice when there's more going on in the background, and you've got a bit of power that's going on here too. I mean, you've got the background, which is a sort of gradient, and then you've got the layers of the buildings, and then you've got the people moving on the buildings. So yeah, there's for an 85 game, I think there's a decent amount of background detail here. Yeah. You're not getting your knife back. Really could do with the health though. I'm glad to hear that, MAME fan. Like I said, there's just so much in MAME. It is very easy to not know about games, and that's why I think next month I sort of want to try and do that about those all killer lists, if that's what I decide to do, because so many people are just going to use those lists and then not look beyond it, and that does mean they're going to miss out on a lot of games. But yeah, there are many quality games in MAME, supported in MAME. And yeah, after a few months of doing this, you'll probably find me repeating a lot of games, because we've all got our favourites, and they're going to get played more than others. But, I'm glad to hear though that you're finding new things that you've not played, and no doubt going to be uploading sort of quality videos of your own of them with all the the bezels and everything else, which is good to see. Oh, I didn't enter a name if I start. But there we go. So this was Metal Clash by Data East. enjoyable game. Probably one that didn't leave Japan. So the only set in MAME is a Japanese set. Yeah, I'm not going to play another credit of it, because that was quite a long credit. Yeah, there's definitely enough content, especially if you start looking at the non-arcade stuff. I mean, there's a lifetime worth of games to be playing. Metal Clash. That was Metal Clash. And I had a bit of fun with that one. Now I'm going to go with a game No, I'm not. I'm going to go with the other Gundam game, actually. Because there's one I've not played. What's it called? Yeah, it's just MS Gundam, isn't it? Now, I played the newer Gundam game by Seta, Banpresto, Seta hardware, but I didn't actually play this older, slightly older one, so that is where my focus is going to be now for a little bit. It's another versus fighter, so this one actually, despite being older hardware though, does have a better frame rate than the Seta 2 driver one. So, nice little intro tune, simple text. International Whiskey Day. Well, I'm not drinking whiskey. I'm drinking a cheap beer. But if I had any whiskey, I would toast you with it. But I don't. But yes, I had some the other weekend. I'm obviously out of sync with the world. Hey Bob. Anyway, how are you doing? These Gundam games do tend to have a lot of story. I've noticed that. The Final Shooting one had a load of intro too. The stream seems to have stopped. Tried refreshing. It's not reporting any drop frames here. Yeah, X Mortis. I think it's okay. Maybe you're endly. I don't know. Say try refreshing, or as I typed in the chat there. One thing that's inconsistent with these games is if they spell mobile with an E or without an E. Okay, good to know, Lee. But this one spells it with an E. Anyway, here we go. How many buttons is this? 2 buttons. Okay. Nice selection of 8 characters, 8 robots. Some kind of similar. Let's just pick Gundam. So yeah. Not versus Kellogg's. Which is how I first read it. But yeah, the other Gundam game, one on Seta 2 hardware, just has terrible slowdown. This one is nice and smooth. I don't think it's an especially great game from what I've played. I mean, some of these projectiles are weedy. I mean, what was that projectile with us firing? It was a tiny thing. Maybe the best Gundam game I've played, fighter game, is the bootleg one. It's a SNES conversion. That shouldn't be the case, but that Gundam Endless Duel thing that was bootlegged in the arcades is actually really good. But this one's just your sort of average, by the numbers bot fighter that feels a bit awkward to play. But you know, since it's covered the other Gundam games that are listed as Mobile Suit Gundam, I figured I should have a look at this one. Briefly, anyway. The 2 buttons kind of restricts what you can do in terms of moves, so I don't know quite how the moves work in this. Same issue I had with some of the wrestling games. It's like, well, how do you do all the moves with just 2 buttons? So, anyway, I should know, coming from an Amiga background, that you can do many things with 1 button, including butchering many fighting games, and you port them from the arcades. Put your shield down. I want to beat you. I'm not great advice, really, is it? Yeah, there you go. Turn your back on me. I don't know. I struggle with joysticks, so I'm probably happier on the keyboard. I mean, I've tried playing stuff on the Xbox pad and ended up just going back to the keyboard. And I don't know. Even on a real arcade machine, it's like, I don't like these controls. Can I plug a keyboard in? It's just what I've grown up with. I think keyboards more so than anything else, or classic Sega pads, but they're not going to work with most games. I do quite like the PlayStation 5 pads. I was using one of those, and that felt quite tight and responsive on the D-pad, more so than the previous Sony pads. I don't know, I've not used it extensively. It's my brother's PlayStation 5, and it's being used on the PlayStation 3 to play Sega Classics on the that Sega Classics pack. It felt quite good. I don't know. I won, you see. I mashed my way to success after a disappointing first round. More story. Yeah, so these have plenty of story in them. Where's he going to send me next? I've got to face Saku. And this level's actually quite well designed, isn't it? Multiple layers again. Got these trees. Actually gives a good impression of, you know, them being giant robots, because you've got the scale. Everything else is scale. I'm still not sure how I'm triggering the gun attack sometimes. It's like, is it the quarter circle? Oh well. I'm not going to spend too long on this one anyway. That's the most greedy attack ever, isn't it? Well, I think I managed to do a move to evade the shot. I think you get an invulnerability frame. Or a set of invulnerability frames against bullets when you're doing some moves. Or the hitbox is just terrible. Either is an option on a, you know, set up Allumer Banpresto game. Could be worse. I could be playing Glandia. I mean, I think that's the only one of the fighting games that's marked in MAME as mature, because I think you can knock all their clothes off. We'll probably stream Glandia at some point, but be careful not to do that. Although Glandia is notoriously buggy and crashes on the endings, I believe, and has broken blending effects and probably shouldn't have been released at all. Despite that, there were bootlegs of it. Yeah, the DualShock 3 D-pad's horrible. The 4's not much better. The 5, at least on a new pad, seems pretty good. Oh well. Here my journey ends on the Gundam game, but average fighter. If you like Gundam, you might like it. It plays with a far smoother frame rate than the Zeta 2 one, as I mentioned. So you might prefer it for that reason. I don't know. Gundam fighting games aren't really something I go out my way to play. But no, I get to be AAA again. Am I allowed to be AAA? Yes. I think with the rest of the high score table, I'm certainly allowed to be AAA. There we go. Right. Where should I go next? Shall we keep the robot-y theme? This one is an arcade game, but it's also kind of a Mega Drive game. This is the Mega Play hardware, which are properly adapted games. This is Mazin Wars. There were some bug fixes to the Mega Play emulation last year, which means they coin up more reliably and don't crash as much, apart from Shinobi 3, where if you try and start the game during the intro, it will still crash. Although if you wait until the intro is over, it plays absolutely fine. I don't know why. There's some weird timing issue with it. But yeah, these Mega Play games were Mega Drive games taken and adapted to be real arcade games, not just time-based, but rebalanced and used proper credits. So let's see. Maybe I need to give the DualShock 4 ones another chance then. I'll be honest, I've not played that many games on them. I've got the Xbox pad connected to the PC instead. So I'll have to have, I'll give them another try. I do have a couple of them. But they're currently being used by the actual PlayStation. There you go. I mean, this is, you know, it looks basically the same as the Mega Drive game, because it is an adapted version of the Mega Drive game. But, you know, it's one of those with small but well-animated sprites. I think that's what stands out about it. It's always good to see small sprites with smooth animations. And also the small sprites in this help make the bigger enemies look bigger. I think that is one reason to use small sprites in some games. If you want to give the impression that an enemy is far, far bigger, then you need to actually have your sprites quite small in the first place, unless you're going to use lots of zoom and zoom out effects to achieve the same thing. Here, look how big that foot is compared to me. I mean, there's no denying that I am tiny. Didn't get any hits in that time. Oh. I'm not doing very well here. No. There we go. The big foot is dead. Well, not the big foot. It has some really big ones and some really small ones, yeah. Like I say, I think the fact that you've got both of those gives things a sense of scale. Apparently it's set to only have one life by default. I might need to tweak the default dip switches here, which clearly aren't what they say they are, or the dip switch reading's broken. Curious. Very curious. I'm being given one life. So this is possibly another bug that I have uncovered that will need a slight tweak. That happens quite often, doesn't it? Yeah, I've never really played much of this, not even on the Mega Drive, so I don't know how it develops. Oh, look, we've got the Bigfoot again. Yeah, I've been stomped on again. The hitbox on the... You'd expect a slightly bigger hitbox on such a massive foot, but apparently there is not a big hitbox in a big foot. Got to get in the right position behind it. How not to play this game. Okay, I'm not going to play too much of this. I want to check what's going on with the credits here. Right, I've set this to 4 now. How many lives do I get? 1. Set this to 1. How many lives do I get? 2. I set this to 2. How many lives do I get? Probably 3. Yeah. So yeah, the live dip switch I need to fix. Okay. I'll come back to this one another time when I've actually set the... Yeah, you probably do have to hit a very specific part. I've not used an original DualShock in many, many years for the PS1. Can't remember how they feel. Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to fix the dip switch settings in that. I don't know when they've been broken, or how long they've been broken. So sometimes we get set fixes to things, and people say, "Oh, I fixed these," and then they've actually broken them. So, or maybe it's always been broken, or I don't know. I was just a bit surprised that was broken. It happened to Midnight Resistance too. I had to fix the dip switches in that because at some point they'd been broken. I don't know why. Did I play Major Havoc on another stream? I don't think I did I? Or if I did, you're going to get to see Major Havoc again. Controls. Dial. Okay. Major Havoc. I don't remember if I played this or not, but yeah. Atari Vector game. Classic arcade. Got these two sections, indoor and outdoor. Let's just coin it up. Play. All these colour vector games are always very impressive. We've even got a mini breakout game while it loads the level here in the corner. I mean, what nice touch is that? Don't these just have such a style of their own? And yes, I know my vector glow is probably turned up a little excessively, but it's nice when things glow. Docking sequence. Now the indoor sequence. Follow the arrows and touch the reactor. So they even made a platform game out of a vector system, which is... Ooh. I got skeletonized. But yeah, no. You don't really expect a vector game to... a vector monster to be doing a platform game, but that's exactly what you have here. Yeah, if I wasn't terrible at it. Now, I know there's some modern hacked version of this. I don't think it's been added to MAME. That might be an interesting one to check out if you like the game. Might be an HB MAME, which is still a terribly named project because most of it isn't homebrew at all. But that one kind of is a hack. Get out. Trying to get out. Keep banging my head. Banging my head doesn't help me get out. Don't get out before the reactor explodes. I'm sure you can guess what happens. Out we get. Yes, there was that issue and it got quite flickery. I think it might be fixed. I think the vector limit was increased. I don't know how far I'm going to get. I know there were changes to the vector limit, which probably have helped. Yeah, I think Misfit MAME was a better name for project than HB MAME because it kind of reflected what was there, things that didn't fit in MAME. How many vector lines it can draw at once before it, drops out. So if if it was trying to draw too many vectors before on a frame, you end up just dropping them all. That could cause flicker and say maybe invisible walls if it was a very complex maze. I don't know. I've not played that far into the game, but it might have been fixed. I'm probably not going to get that far into the game because I'm not good at the game. I'm probably giving myself a better chance with some more lives, but or can I? Okay, let's just reset that. Got a few more lives this time. Yeah, Star Wars obviously is the go-to colour vector game if you want to show anything off, really, isn't it? And the fantastic Death Star explosion in that one. It's just such a sight. But this one's great. Some of the Sega ones, Tac Scan, love that one. Eliminator. Colour Vector is just such a good look. Yeah, I think as far as the Atari Vector games go, this is one of the ones people have maybe not played as much as the others. It's less traditional. No. But it still is a good game. It has its own little fan following. When it says garbage ejected, is it talking about me? It does mix up the genres here. And, you know, it does them all quite well, I would say. Now, MAME's vector shader's not quite as good as the, you know, the regular one for shield. You see, you've got to remember when to use your shield at the right times to get through things. Well, I've run out of shield now, haven't I? Which is not good. Luckily, not everything is respawned. You fall over when you run into a wall, which is slightly annoying. Oh, good. Nope, been zapped. I think there were tales from people who did develop games back then, so you can probably find out a lot of them. But it generally not the same quality of tools as you get today. You're debugging things in very different conditions. This is kind of tempesty with the way things are. But look at what's going on. Look at all the different colours. Look at this is really ambitious use of the vector graphic, the colour vector graphics, isn't it? Oh, very easy to get killed though. Very, very easy. Is this the level that had problem before then? Ooh. Oh well, looks oh. Yeah. I mean, I guess you would have done a lot of planning out on paper with all these things and getting your code flow right and then trying to convert it into other languages and no. And to my death I fall. That's an interesting feature. You can start at a previous level, but clearly not the one you're on. Atari did try to do some innovative things like that. There you go. That's Major Havoc. Say one of the lesser played but still really good colour vector games. Hey Cypher, how you doing? You played Major Havoc on one of your previous streams, didn't you? I think you encountered the sort of flickery issue with the mazes that is now fixed. Thank you for joining. So it was good stream of yours last night. I'm just going through some M games in MAME, ones I haven't played in a while, and the theme is, it's March, so it's like, what can I do? I can play some games that begin with M. So I am going to go with Mission 660 now. So switch layout. M660. Here we go. Now this there's two versions of this. There's the Mission 660 version, and then there's the Japanese, the Alpha ZX version, which is a very different theme. But the games play roughly the same. So, yeah, space shooter from Woodplace. It's kind of a bit Star Forcey. I get the same feel from it. It's got a slight wobble because it scrolls both directions as you move around. So the enemies can seem a bit wobbly, which is usually not considered the best thing in a shooter. And I think the reason the Japanese version is called the Alpha ZX whatever is because of the zone names. There's a clear letter on all the the bases you come across to say the zone name. And they'll go with that theme. And then there's a prototype version called the 26th Z, which is again based around the whole alphabet theme. Not quite sure why they thought that would be an appealing title, but that's what they went with. And that looked like it was showing you PlayStation buttons. There we go. Got enough shots in that one. Yeah, this is maybe not the most played of the the 80s shooters, but it's solid. I've seen people play it for hours, just marathoning. If you get you get your timings right, it's a game I think can go on forever. If you get your timings wrong, it's a game that's over very, very quickly. There are kind of versions of MAME running in MAME, but they're not very well. Those 16:1 bootlegs or 3081 bootlegs do contain code that seems to be from MAME. If you chase this around and stop it spawning all the bits of its bits it's throwing at you, it's a lot easier than if you let it spawn them all. But you still could get the hits on it. And not do that. I mean, Major Havoc's mostly just a case of shoot the bits on the shooty levels, descend into the base, go to the reactor, get out the base before the reactor explodes, and repeat. I don't think it mixes it up too much, but it does have a lot of variety in the shooter stages. Yeah, if you're running the home computer PC drivers, you can probably emulate a 486 running an ancient version of MAME 2, but not really worth doing, is it? I mean, I think people have done that. It's like when people are loading the PC drives and browsing the MAME site. Oh, there we go, got power. Although the issue with browsing a lot of the websites these days within the emulators is everything's gone to SSL, so they're all secure sites, and none of these old machines supported that. So if there's no regular unencrypted site, they're not going to load it. And you get the same if you're trying to use a sort of like a Windows 2000 PC these days. It's really not supported, and a lot of sites won't load because it doesn't support any of the recent encryption methods. Login options, autofire, add autofire button, input, player 1 button 1, hotkey, Z, create. That's too fast. There we go. This autofire doesn't help here because you've got a limited number of bullets on the screen. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes autofire makes it really easy if you've got unlimited bullets, but in this case, it just means it stops you firing as much. Oh, thank you, MAME fan, for the $20 US there. Much appreciated. As it is every time you've donated. Always good to have that support. I'll probably buy myself a drink next time I go to the shop. Or bury myself. I mean, I don't know. Have I got a funeral for myself on the cards? I wasn't playing. Anyway, yeah, Mission 660. I'm not very good at it, apparently. But I'm just going to put the clone on. So the Alpha ZX. So yeah, this is the Japanese version. And you can see it's got quite a different visual theme to it. And it's the same for the 26Z version. I guess it's just more appealing to a Japanese market, isn't it? You've got your little cats, and it's the same game. It plays the same. It's just visually different, and you do find that a lot. And it's one of the things I've been trying to highlight on these streams, is where there is a different version of a game that you might not be aware of, might not be familiar with. Oh, Sunset Riders reference, right? I was just thinking, you've not looked at my address and sort of hide a hitman and no. I'm sure nobody's going to do that. Hopefully. Okay, I'm terrible at that game. So you have seen Mission 660. I've been playing quite a few things, Matt Myers. Have you been playing anything? At the moment, I was just playing Mission 660. I've been playing a Gundam game. We're showing off a bug fix I just made to a Gundam game. We had a bit of Major Havoc. And Mechanized Attack, of course. And Metal Clash. Metal Clash was a good fun one. Yeah. I'm going to go with Minefield. I don't think I've played Minefield yet. Stern Electronics. Super Cobra. I think this is this dual stick. That's what I thought it was. So here we go. Now, this is one of those that's, really simple old game, but the way it's done, the sort of the scrolling makes it look like much more capable of hardware than it really is. I mean, this is not much beyond Galaxian hardware type setup. Single pixel bullets, but they've got the gradient and they've got all the offset sprites for the scrolling. Well, is it sprites? No, it's time up with row scroll. You see, that is the layer, but every row has got a different scroll value, so it just gives this perspective effect, which is really effective. You've got to obviously shoot what's in the air, so it's a bit Moon Patrol-y, except you're not jumping over holes, you're moving around. You've got to avoid mines. I mean, that's probably obvious. So don't run over the mines. Don't collide into the things that are falling from the sky. So you've got to keep track of quite a lot of things in this one. Get picked up by that. Pickaxe Pete. That rings a few bells. I think I played Pickaxe Pete. It is an older game, isn't it? I'm not getting it confused with something else. I know there's Paceman Pat, but that's a very different game. Paceman Pat. Paceman Pat's one I enjoyed as a kid because you could load your own images into it. I think you could load loading screens and use them as levels, which is something I did. That after party, I was definitely asleep for that. I remember waking up briefly and seeing the horrors of Count Duckula 2, then falling asleep again, and they're definitely an after party for me. How was that Jetsons game in the end? Because to me that looked pretty good, but that was like 10% score, wasn't it? The music was jolly and it felt like Jetsons. Anyway, let's give Minefield another credit. Playing and talking is something I'm still not great at. So here we go. Again, I've seen people play this, for hours. So if you get good at it, it's one you can just play for a long, long time. I do love these classic 80s sounds, though Stern had some good ones. I'd also be tempted to put on that Anteater game that Zypho was playing the clone of on stream on the Amstrad, although it doesn't begin with M, but I do sometimes make exceptions in these videos. Ah, that's where, yeah, I would have heard it on the Odyssey 2 when I've been looking at those then, not the Spectrum. Because I did look at the Odyssey 2 library a while ago. So yeah, that's where I would have seen the name. And possibly even given it a try. Minefield. Don't run over the mines. They hurt. Nope. Got trapped. Right, Zypho. I've never tried that. I'll have to try that if I get picked up by the helicopter again. I mean, I'm assuming you can't shoot the helicopter down because that would be a bit silly, but maybe fun. Oh, here it comes. Pick me up, pick me up, pick me up. Yes, you can. Okay, I was not aware of that. It's just one of those things where you get picked up and you think it's a cutscene. And now we go nighttime. Which doesn't make that much difference. Be right back. BRB is be right back. So yeah, right. Minor diversion from the M games because it was on Zypho's stream last night, and apparently, you know, it's considered one of the worst CPC games. It was an unofficial conversion of Anteater. So let's have a look at the original Anteater, which has got a very similar theme to the previous Stern game. I'm pretty sure this is like the same font and the same colour scheme, although it's on Galaxian hardware. But yeah, Zypho was playing what is basically the you know, the CPC conversion of this. Although this is more complex. This also seems quite a bit loud, so I'm going to turn down a notch. Okay, I've got to try and start picking up the worms. Ah, were they? That makes a lot of sense then, because they... Okay. Right. That didn't go well. Let's try again. Right, you can eat the ants, but not the worms. So you have to avoid the worms entirely. Okay. So you can't touch the worms at all. You can, as long as you know you avoid the worms. They don't touch the end of the tail, your nose, tongue. I'll remember the word at some point. You're okay, but from the back. Oh, okay. I thought you just had to avoid them entirely. I'm sure I've played this game before and remembered. I would have remembered that, but how much back? There we go. Yeah. Okay. I think yeah, it's coming back to me now. But but yeah, this has more gameplay elements than the game that was on the CPC, which I think if the CPC game had had all the gameplay elements, it would have scored better. Because this is actually challenging, and the enemies don't pause on this when you retract your tongue. So you know you've got to always keep in mind your timing and things like that. I've got to quickly get back there to get this one. And you say you've got to get that one from behind us. As was pointed out. Got to get back up here now. And you've got the day-night cycle, and you've got different creatures at night. And it gets quite tricky. Now we've got the queen. So when you get the two queens, it does clear the screen temporarily. We've got to get this timing right. They're coming very quickly. And there's the spidery things coming down to the end of your tail. What got me? Oh, the ant at the top. There's a lot to keep track of on this one. But oh no, nope. Got to get these remaining dots. Oh no, got to get that quickly. Not easy. Not easy at all. Let's just try and... No. Oh, no. Uh-oh. No, you see, I can't do anything about that because the spider was coming up on the tongue and I couldn't get past it to... Yeah, so that was me failing to complete another level of another game. Now, one of the interesting things about this one is actually the clones, because the clones employ a really odd ROM scrambling. I'm not quite sure why. It's very out of place. Oof, that was close. That was very close. Too close. You've got to get your strategy right when you're playing this. I mean, I don't like going down there because it doesn't give you much time to react if they do come up. So, this is a really, what I would consider one of the proper classic arcade games that doesn't get talked about much. I'm not going to play it for too long because it's not an M game. But, you know, it's, since we do have a special guest in the stream of Zypho, and one of the games of his stream last night was basically this for the CPC, I thought I'd put it on. So the rules of my streams are not hard and fast. There is always room for a bit of variety. There we go, I've actually completed the level. But yeah, I think the other connection with Minefield actually is that Minefield has got a very similar bootleg with the very similar encryption. So, is there a connection back to the original programmer? Are they not so much bootlegs as licensed versions with custom encryption? It's making me wonder now. But, anyway, nope. So the normal service will be resumed shortly. I will be going back to some M games. But, yeah, all games are M when you're in MAME. That's a lie, but you know, I can pretend. And once you're down here, you do get the advantage that you can kind of almost get away with doing this. If you're lucky. There we go. Anyway, okay. Man-eater. Ant-Man. Yeah, that can be Ant-Man, can't it? I'm eating Ant-Man. That's. I don't think there was a way out of that. But yeah, when this credit is over, I will move back to real M games, not pretend games. Yeah, the sound and music are really appealing. It's not just single channel, is it? It's a really well designed game. It deserves to really be more popular, but I guess, you know, it's a small unknown developer in the sense of Tago Electronics. It's not a go-to name. International Whiskey Day. All is forgiven. I bet you. Look, it's an M game now. I've entered M as my initials. MMM. Definitely an M game. This is not an ant stream. No. This is an Anteater stream. Anyway, that was just Anteater because, you know, why not? Not on my list of things to initially play, but shall we go with from ants to fleas? Mr. F. Lee. The Amazing Adventures of Mr. F. Lee by Pacific Novelty. 4 directions, 1 button. Get Flea into doghouses. Absolutely not Frogger, is it? But yes, a flea themed game. Anyway, I'll coin it up because, you know, there is actually more than one level. Probably a bit risky to stay up there. This has got nice little tunes as well, you know. Kids nursery rhymes. This is by Pacific Novelty. Not really a household name either. I think there are a few other Pacific Novelty games, but not a huge number. Yes, you control a flea. And I'm making this look much more difficult than it is. Yeah, 8-bit William Tell Overture. Actually, I seem to remember some games with music like this. YouTube ended up copyright identifying because of a cover version, which was ridiculous. It's like, yeah, it's a classic little song. It's not the version performed by this band, it's an 8-bit rendition. Yeah, this is really just a time. I'm just trying to play it too aggressively. There we go. There's the good boy with a flea on. Now we can go to the lawnmower, which is, yeah, this version, this game, the Frogger one. It's kind of like Gorf in the sense that it's sort of borrowing ideas from other games and giving it them its own interpretation. But yes, this is Flea. Oh, it's Mr. F. Lee. But yeah, I'm going to call it Flea. Reminds me of the Sakurai games. They've got lots of classic tunes in them too. Cat and Mouse, for example. I think it's 82. Should we go in Dog's Tail? Okay. How does this work? Let's turn it to Jungle Hunt. Tarzan the Flea. That was very easy, that stage. I'm assuming on further subsequent loops it's trickier. Look at the dog with the hearts on the bottom left. Now the final stage, Dog Hollow. Oh yeah, the absolutely and definitely completely not Donkey Kong stage. It's actually got a lot of charm to it though, hasn't it? No cats. Sorry cats. Oh, got knocked off. That's a bit flickery. See, they went all the way to the presentation on the game, and then for the high score tables and everything else, they did nothing. Shall I have another go at the Donkey Kong stage? I think I should. Game over. Yeah, 82. No, wrong way. Oh, well, we're doing Flea again. You won't get a high score? Why will you not get a high score, Guide? The fleas making you a little bit itchy, are they? Dog Hollow, that was the... I mean, if we're talking about games with small sprites, this one, yeah, I think this counts. Well, you know, you've got Gore for the Galaxians rip-off, haven't you? This doesn't need to rip off Galaxian. It manages to rip things off, but still be worth playing. And those are the best kind of rip-offs. I mean, you know, I could put Logger on, as I did another time, and we suddenly realised Logger was... This is like the hardest stage in the whole thing. The difficulty balance is a little all over the place. It is a cool little game. I was hoping to finish all the levels, but I'll give that one more try. It's got that sort of one more try addictive quality too. We are on about an hour and a half of the stream now. Don't know how long this one's going to go on for. My plan was to do a shorter stream, but it might end up being a full-length one. Sometimes the best games shamelessly borrow, though, don't they? It's just how the industry is, was, and still is today. I mean, people will talk about, say, 3D Dot Game Heroes on the PS3 as being a fantastic game, but it is so shamelessly Zelda. Come on. Aha! I got to the top. Of course, you know, I still have to do all the other levels. I think after you do the 4 levels, it does just loop. It's, you know, showing you everything it's got to offer. Loops with more difficulty, though. I'm not aware of any home ports of this game, but maybe there were some. I've not looked it up. Seems maybe a bit too obscure to me. Just a bit too early. I mean, 82. There weren't that many things for it to be ported to. Now this one almost got missed off my list because the full title is The Amazing Adventures of Dr. Mr. F. Lee. I mean, he can be a doctor if he wants, maybe. I don't know many fleas that are doctors. I mean, I don't know many fleas. But maybe he can be a vet. Probably seen plenty of dogs. This is probably the most boring level. Maybe later loops of it will add more challenge. I don't know. I've never really played the game beyond having a look at the stages. I mean, there are other hill climbing. I mean, again, it's a bit Moon Patrol-y with the jumping over the holes, but without any of the other elements. I think every game idea can be somewhat traced back to another game, just some more obviously than others. Yeah, for 82. This is pretty good. Level. So yeah, you know, you've got the same levels again, but there'll be more of a challenge. So what happens on Lawnmower now? I'm assuming there's more of a challenge. I'm not seeing much more of a challenge, but maybe the time is stricter. Yeah, it probably could have been. It was just a bit more before my time, really, because I had the Spectrum and CPC, and not really encountered many older machines than that. There were a few around. People had like the Pong TV machines and the like. Yeah, this level seemed about the same, so if it's ramped up the difficulty, it's not done it in a noticeable way yet. So we go dogs packs, if there's anything different there. So yeah, I'm half expecting at some point them to start throwing other things down to jump over it. Who knows? Anyway, when I get to the top of this dog's back, I'm going to quit this one. There we go. What did I say? But I didn't avoid it because I was too close to the top. Somebody threw me a bone, and if you're a flea, that's a bad thing. And I jump backwards into a hole. I've not looked for any conversions. Maybe there are. It's just not a game I even hear people talking about the arcade version of, so if there are conversions, I can't see anybody really talking about it. How many other games are there where you control the flea? Anyway, I think I have mounted enough dogs, so I will quit this game now. The first system I had at home was the Spectrum Plus 2 128K model, and then I got a CPC because I was really impressed by the colours and stuff on some games, and computer-wise then Amiga, then PC. I also had a Mega Drive around the same time as the Amiga. I got a Master System after the Mega Drive because, again, there were some games I liked on it that weren't on the Mega Drive, and the converter was just a bit awkward, so Master System was cheap and picked one up. Where next? Where next indeed? Shall I look at... Yeah, let's look at one of the plug and plays. No, actually, no. Let's look at a plug and play in a bit. Let's look at a game I could have easily put on last night's stream. Unfortunately, this system seems to forget the time and date settings if you insert cartridges from a different region. Which is a little bit annoying. But Bugaboo the Flea. Ah, true. Roland in the Caves as well. That was the CPC title, wasn't it? So yeah, actually you do control the flea in that. That one should have come to mind immediately, especially with Zypho popping in the stream earlier. But this is a Metal Slug first mission for the, you know, the NeoGeo Pocket. And I don't know why I didn't cover this one last night, because last night's theme was the Metal Slug games. But apparently I forgot. Now I think this one runs a bit better than the second game. The second game seems to have some audio issues in MAME. But you know, this is Metal Slug on the go. And a nice solid take on Metal Slug it is. The NeoGeo Pocket emulation in MAME is not perfect, it's okay. Some stuff runs better than others. There's one or two games that don't run. But, overall, you know, you can usually enjoy the games. And you know, it's one of those systems that never stood a chance against the you know, the Game Boy. But the games that are on it do a really good job of bringing SNK's games to a platform. It's not the arcades, a portable platform. So option Z, okay, I forgot what I'd remapped it to. That would help, because that is my grenades. So you swap between grenades and the other fire with the option button, which I had forgotten what I mapped to, hence quickly checking. Yeah, this is a really fun little port. I mean, it's SNK's port to their own platform, isn't it? So, you know, they're going to have done a good job. And they did a good job. It's obviously not anywhere near the scale of an original NeoGeo game, but that doesn't make it a bad game by any means. Oh, got spiked. Crawl through here. It's a bit Metal Gear-y, crawling through spaces. Go, go. You got your different vehicles, just like, you know, the proper Metal Slug. We don't want to waste those. So the sound's got that good 8-bit sound to it too. Oh no, missile, missile. Yeah, the animations are really good. But that, again, that's one of the things Metal Slug is really known for. If you really, the animations, just how detailed they are on all the sprites. So if they lost that out of the game, it wouldn't have felt right. But got your bombs here too. I keep forgetting that. Have a bomb on your head. Because you don't have jump in a plane, obviously, so your second button becomes bomb. Oops. Go. And you see, this boss. You've seen this boss, I think, Metal Slug 2, in the stage, the first stage. Quite a familiar looking boss. Well, ish. It's similar. I don't think it's exactly the same. Gotta position yourself correctly, otherwise you won't do very well. So, yeah, move, move, move. Move. Oh, wrong way. Let's try and get rid of his grenades. Helps if they hit. There we go. So, mission 1 complete. Next area is up there. Mission. There we go. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too long on this one, but yeah, if you like Metal Slug, that's definitely a version worth checking out. I'm going to put the second one on, but as I said, I don't think the second one emulates quite as well in MAME, so you probably need a dedicated... You probably do with a dedicated NeoGeo Pocket emulator for this one from memory. I'm just going to put it on briefly. So again, it ups the presentation a little bit. Story and everything. Bit of speech, you see. But I think that might be what causes issues, because it seems to have broken the rest of the sound. So, you know, it played the speech and now there is only speech. I don't think that's right. I think it's meant to be playing something other than the speech. Again, it's got even better animation, smoother controls, and is you know, a worthy sequel to what was already a good game. It's just a shame, I say, it doesn't seem to emulate quite right in MAME. I'm not going to spend too long on this because silence is not great. Anyway, no. So yeah, it's one of those bugs that I hope gets fixed at some point, but I'm not familiar enough with the system to really look into it myself. But yeah, that's the second game. So it's still playable. Right, where are we going? Oh, classic vertical. Moon Quasar by Nichibutsu. Now, despite the revamped presentation, I'm pretty sure this is more or less just Moon Cresta. But, you know, I don't quite know the story behind these variations. I mean, Nichibutsu apparently have quite a lot of games beginning with Moon that are undumped, and if they ever saw release, I don't know. I mean, I'd still really consider the FPGA systems to be kind of emulation. Somebody's still got to write, you know, the recreation of the hardware. It's still an interpretation. But yeah, I know. I mean, Moon Cresta was obviously released as Moon Cresta, so why rebrand it here and just, you know, this is sort of Nichibutsu's owl logo here. They've like added their own branding a bit more. They've got the bigger Nichibutsu logo, but the game is still essentially just Moon Cresta. I mean, it's perfectly fine, but it's not really a fresh game, is it? And it's not the only time we've seen this with Nichibutsu. Minor tweaks to a game being released under a new name. Now, there's a number adding up in the bottom corner, which might have some significance. I don't know. It's one of those I've never spent much time with because it just seems too close to it. Also, I'm playing really bad. Really, really badly. I'm not even going to get to show you the docking sequence because I've lost my ships. And I've got a big chunky one that's really hard to get anything with. I mean, yeah, personally I would consider it still to be a form of emulation, but I can get why some people might not. I mean, it doesn't guarantee you a perfect version. If you look at some older hardware reproductions, they're not always perfect. look at how bad the AT Games Mega Drive reproductions are, for example, and they're they're hardware reproductions rather than software emulation, and they didn't turn out well. It ends up being entirely down to who is developing it and what resources they have to work with, which is the same as emulation in general. So I like the fact the technology exists, and it is sort of spurring on research at a hardware level on some of the hardware, and more of the decapping processes and understanding the internals of the chips, not just how they work, from the game point of view. And that information can be fed back into MAME, but I don't think it's quite as revolutionary as some places make out. Yeah, it's like a fancier version of Moon Cresta. Obviously, this docking sequence is a bit different too. Annoying. So it's a tweak Moon Cresta. Probably not one anybody really plays, because most people would probably just rather play Moon Cresta, the classic. I don't think this was ever a popular game that got widely distributed. I mean, Moon Cresta itself, it got so many bootlegs. Practically everybody encountered it who ever went to an arcade. Whereas this, well, I don't think it was bootlegged. Now I've got the the classic docking sequence instead. So you could really just call this Moon Cresta Plus, maybe, if you wanted to. There we go. Yeah, it does start a little bit high, doesn't it? Effectively. I mean, it doesn't matter much. It's just the way they've done it. Energy empty. Okay. That's not a good feature. Is your energy empty when that timer reaches 990? Is this... what? That's an anti-feature if ever I saw one. Changeability to insert name to 3 initials. What? That message makes no sense. Changeability. Is it telling me that's different in this game? That you can only enter 3 initials? Very strange. Very strange version of Moon Cresta. That is actually called Moon Quasar and was released as a separate game. And like I say, not the only time that happened. Moon Alien Part 2. What's this? Well, it's basically Galaxian with a fancy title screen. There we go, you see, Moon Alien. Now, I think the Moon Alien Part 1, we've only got a version by another company. Yeah, it is Galaxian. It's just, again, it's apparently an alternate version of Galaxian they released. It says Moon Alien. Oh, wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. And it's got an energy bar. But yeah, Moon Alien Part 2. It's got Nichibutsu. See, it's got big Nichibutsu scroll. So they've done a similar thing as they did with Moon Quasar. They've put their branding in it, put a bigger title in it. But it's effectively Galaxian with an energy counter. And, control shots. But it's... I don't know. It's like they're trying to cash in on the success of the games by reworking them slightly. I mean, Namco did the same with Pac-Man Plus, didn't they? But the originals are always going to be the most popular. And maybe considering how many bootlegs of Galaxian and the like there were, which added new features. I mean, we're assuming this is official and not just some bootleg that's trying to pretend to be official. But considering how many bootlegs there were that added new features, maybe Nichibutsu did decide they wanted to try and, you know, get a foothold in that market of games that added something beyond Galaxian. Yeah, could be. Or they just say they just saw the people doing the other versions adding very similar features like energy bars in. But you know, it's Galaxian. I don't think we really have to spend too long on it. Yeah, there was, say, Moon Alien without the part 2, which is this one, with a slightly uglier logo. But this one, if I skip through this set has Karateko on it. And Karateko tended to be a bootlegger. So this might be a bootleg set. I don't know. Could be licensed. Again, it's the same thing. This has still got the control of it, control of the shots and things, but it's not got the, you know, the energy bar. For some reason, Namco are co-credited for those ones as well in MAME. Maybe there's a story there I don't know about. But yeah, variations on your classic Mooncrester and Galaxian games with new titles. Not sure what I think of those. But yeah, let's go with a game that I'm not too keen on, but one that is an endgame. Monkey by Technos / Rollertron. Now, this is on Taito's Burger Time hardware, and apparently is Technos' first game. I don't know if that's true, but apparently it is. That's what I read. The problem is the copy light. Yeah, the whole presentation of it, success failure. It's like it's a school. It's trying to teach you a lesson. Complete the 5 messages to proceed. Failure to complete the 5 messages, lose a life. And it's just like, you know, it's writing on a board. Bring that up. So go over here and bring that up. And it's very much like the Donkey Kong Jr. key level. You know, go there and bring that down. Just follow the instructions. Do what you're told. And do them in the right order too, otherwise they don't count. And stop that thing getting them. Otherwise you fail. Get that up there. No, I failed because I didn't do it right. I got by the monkey. Yes, actually. Yes, I will look at one of the plug and plays in a bit. I did forget. After this one, I'll have a look at the plug and play I was going to look at. There we go. But basically, you're just following the instructions and doing what the monkey tells you to do. Not the most thrilling of games. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So, yeah, I'm going to look at this. Now, the My Sports Challenge unit, horizontal view, is one of those Senario products. Yeah, Monkey just isn't great. Now, these My Sports Challenge, again, they were sort of sports consoles, trying to capitalise on the success of the Wii. Let's just map the player one controls to set something I can use. Well, here we've got wireless tennis. Now, this was also released as a standalone unit, the wireless tennis, which I think it's got better motion controls. I think the standalone unit actually detects motion, whereas this just sort of basically detects like more like a button press. But presentation-wise, if I remember how to play it, which at the moment I don't, it's got a nice rose ball effect. But I'm not very good at it. Like I say, it's not real motion control, it's just detecting if you pressed if you swing, it acts as a virtual button on this one. But it's you know, it's quite a nice looking tennis game. Although, yeah, you've got a button to move closer to the net, which I keep pressing by mistake. That's actually the hit back button. So yeah, you can move closer, but it's not always beneficial. But I think with a bit more work, this could actually be a reasonable tennis game. But without the real motion control, it seems a bit luck. You know, the rose score effect is effective. Got too close, and you know, that's the tennis game. There are multiple games in this. So you've got bowling, golf, baseball, boxing. Now, I had a request on my channel to actually cover the boxing game, which is Boxing Duo. But your characters, they're all quite bad renders, aren't they?
Round one.
But, yes, that's so that's that way. So you know, you can dodge out the way. And use that to. It's reasonable, you know. It's without motion control, without, you know, the real thing waving the real sticks around. You're not going to wear yourself out or get any of the supposed, you know, health benefits from playing these. But they're not too badly executed compared to a lot of these units. So I don't remember what all the buttons are. Oops. Come on. Knock it out. Knock it out. There we go. Get down.
You win.
I win.
Round two.
And it's, you know, it doesn't really mix things up much because the novelty is that it's, you know, you're waving the controllers around. Now, one of the interesting things about this is there's two other releases. There was a version that was sold exclusively by QVC. I almost said KFC. I've made that mistake before. It wasn't sold by KFC. That would be very different. Beating up chickens. But yeah, you know, round one, different fighter, different location. But you get it. As far as these things go, it's not awful. This has got its own special move, you know, just this little teleport thing, and then a bit of a flurry. But yeah, anyway, that's the boxing one. The golf game in it. Wave your control to continue. There we go. Wave. No, that was the back button. I waved it wrong. How am I meant to wave it? Oh, there we go. So practice. Hey Zonto, how you doing? Thank you for joining. So yeah, this is a plug and play golf game in the My Sports Challenge. Again though, this isn't too bad. You sort of aim where you want, roughly where you want to go. You select your club. I want the driver. So it's not really motion control in the sense that you're just pressing the button at the right time when it's at full power bar. You swing when it's at full, and that gives you the full power shot. It's sort of cheating. It's, you know, it's a waste of emotion control really. And I failed I think that's out of bounds. No, this is practice mode actually, so yeah. I want competition mode. I'm good, thank you. And to say, I was feeling a bit rough earlier, but I'm feeling better now, so I decided to pop in and do a bit of a stream. So yeah, here we go. So press B and button to move the map. You see where you're aiming, see where the hole is. So I probably want to go about there, don't I? I want to be on the green here. So do that. Swing. Nice shot. I should end up a bit further than I wanted, but not in the bunker. It's no Neo Turf Masters, is it? But at least, unlike a lot of the golf games on these things, it's also not trying to rip off Neo Turf Masters. Because too many of these plug-and-play units contain games that are literally stolen Neo Turf Masters graphics. Which is really bad. Oh, I do tend to overhit the shots a bit though. Something to keep in mind if you play this one. So you really don't want anything other than a simple wedge now. Probably not at full power. What is that? Am I on the green? Yeah, I'm on the green. And you've got, you know, your putting screen. No proper line scroll on the ground, but doesn't really need it. It's going to be too hard, maybe? Nope. It's alright, there you go. A par. So this is actually not a terrible golf game for a plug-and-play unit. I mean, it's nothing special, but as far as the games on the unit go, that one's actually quite good fun. Bowling, I think we've got bowling briefly. I don't remember bowling being very good. So choose your position, power, roll the ball. I got a strike. That's definitely an uncommon opinion. I think most people really didn't like them, but I think different things appeal to different people, don't they? Do you like the NeoGeo Ragnargard game then? Because that is heavily sort of pre-rendered 3D models. And it's probably one of those NeoGeo games most people don't play. Anyway, that was, let's say, the basic My Sports Challenge plug and play. As I say, QVC put out a version 2, 6-in-1, and it swaps some of the games. So instead of the boxing, you've got basketball and the soccer, which actually the soccer game is just a terrible penalty kick thing, and the basketball is a terrible, you know, time the dunks thing. So the QVC version of that is actually much worse than the regular version. And then there was My Sports Challenge Plus, or Wireless Sports Plus as it was also known, which is a slightly newer product, but it bundles a lot more generic games and cut down versions of the games. It's got a mini golf game that's not too bad. But again, this actually lacks the boxing game, and the boxing game is probably one of the better games on the other system. So again, the Plus version of this isn't that great. Probably not one you're going to want to play. Play disc golf. I might play disc golf before. Disc golf is a bit silly. Driver frisbee. I don't know what controls are. So it's golf but with frisbees. It's very simplified mid-range. If you want, you know, a super simplified golf style game, there you go. Not that one. Okay. Yeah, I guess that is quite low-grade 3D rendering. Unfortunately, the NeoGeo palette doesn't really suit pre-rendered models that well, but a good pre-rendered model, yeah. Something like Psycho's Strikers models for the enemies and the planes, those look fantastic. I have to agree. In that case, pre-rendered can look really good. But yeah, those were some plug-and-play My Sports games, which the original My Sports Challenge release I quite like. The rest of them, not so keen on them. Is this... Okay, Markham by Sun Electronics. Markham? Maybe Mark likes ham. I don't know. But looks a bit like a ship, doesn't it? But of course, the game is actually a shooter, where your bullets do go in the direction you're facing to a degree. So that's the novelty of this one. Also, avoid enemies. Yeah, Polestar manages to still look pretty good on the Neo. It could have looked better if I think it had a higher colour depth and better palette, but within the limitations of the Neo, it is pretty good. Okay, this is not a good start to this one. Yeah, I mean, that's not one of the ones that did rip off Neo Turf Masters, but it's actually a fairly decent golf game for a plug-and-play, as I said. I'm sure there are better ones on some of the Japanese systems, and I'd love to get the Zavix Golf one up and running, but it's not even dumped yet. That was one of the, unfortunately, trickier Zavix Sports ones to dump. These there's some fast directed bullets. Let's play a bit more Markham, because that was... yeah, Viewpoint. Viewpoint, kind of forget Viewpoint is pre-rendered. You know, I mostly associate Viewpoint with being isometric rather than pre-rendered, but of course it is both. Yeah, your big missiles help with these things. So this is a shooter that I don't think many people have played or spent any real time with. That includes me. I don't think I've ever spent any real time with this. These are some aggressive enemy patterns, so at least I started with the C now. You have to use your missiles on certain things like those. Now, one thing this does remind me a bit of is the System E game Transformer, although you can't transform in this, but I think the graphical style and music kind of remind me of the Master System. I think that's probably where I'm getting that from. This does feel like very Master System-y to me. No, the diagonal shooting is the gimmick thing of this game, and it does make it much trickier. You know, everybody's trying gimmicks. That's the gimmick here. I mean, as far as Sun Electronics games go, this is probably not their finest. The still not properly emulated Kangaroo is probably their most popular, but they've got better games than this. But I think this would have been good on the Master System. Hitbox is questionable. Let me give it another try. It's definitely playable and definitely one you could master. I'm not going to say that it's a bad game. It's just maybe quite a forgettable game. Now, just over 2 hours at the moment, and it's coming up to 9 o'clock. I'm thinking I might go on for another 20 minutes or so. I do notice that the enemies appear slightly on the left before they appear on the right. That might be an emulation bug, that might just be limits of the hardware. Again, I'm probably going to struggle to find any kind of original reference for these. So that's quite often the case of really obscure games. You're sometimes lucky with these games if there's anybody who uploaded a video of them running in MAME. But never mind, you know, somebody with a PC uploading videos. But you've got to shoot the bottom of them with the missile. That wasn't clear. Shooting the top doesn't help. Oh, what got me? Game start. Let's challenge. Well, it's a lot of them, and they're quite hard to avoid. And they do appear very close to you at times. These are annoying because they just teleport. We get a bonus life. I heard a little jingle. Oh, hey, Rarapaz. Thank you for joining the stream. How are things in Greece? How are you, of course? That's just as important as how are things in Greece. See, I'm kind of getting used to this now. I'm doing a bit better than my first credit. I'm not hating it. Once you get used to the aim shot, you know, the aiming up and down, you know when to use it. Let's just avoid those. Taking things out early is important too. And you're always welcome as far as, you know, work on MAME is concerned. I do it because I enjoy doing it, and I think getting these things preserved and documented and there for reference by future generations is important. So, you know, it's what I do for fun. So I'm always glad that people appreciate it. What I do for fun, it also takes up practically all my time, of course, but that's sometimes the cost of doing these things. Can get a little burnt out from time to time, even if it's something to do for fun, as I found the other day. No, it's not bad. It's not spectacular. So it seems to be the same enemies mostly repeating over and over, but it is a fairly early game. You know, what other shooters were out in '83 was when a lot of the companies were still getting started. If you look at, say, SNK's, Capcom's first shooters, Capcom had got what, Vulgus, it's kind of simple. Namco got Xevious, which I'm not a huge fan of. It's not bad, but not a favourite. This is like almost Konami type waves here as well. Look. This is quite Gradius in the waves. That's an intense pattern. When I do actually working, I usually do sort of games contracts, industry contracts, emulation related contracts. Although they've dried up really badly at the moment, so I'm hoping they pick up again because, you know, everything's either fallen through or, you know, not really being able to do it because the home situation was a bit messy when everybody's having to start working from home, and it's been a bit of a rough time. But I'm just hoping after this whole thing gets back to normal, it's a bit easier to work from home again for me, because it was okay when I was working from home and it was quiet at home, but then other people start working from home and there's noise all the time, phones ringing all the time, and it's just really distracting. It just became a bad environment for me, so I put some stuff on hold. But yeah, hopefully when things are a bit more back to normal, I can get back to doing some industry contracts. But the benefit is, of course, I've been spending more time on MAME and fixing stuff. I'm doing these streams. So for now, I'm alright. I just hope things pick up a bit afterwards. Anyway, So, next game. Let's look at my non-arcade suggestions at the bottom here. Okay, that one looked interesting. I've never played this before. I've never even tried running it in MAME, so hopefully it works. PC Engine game. Mesopotamia? I don't know. I don't think so. I think we've got mostly 90s stuff. There's not that much emulated in MAME that's newer than 2010, aside from maybe some plug and play bits and pieces. So what's this game all about? Yeah, this is... Obviously I want to do that. I can shoot. Okay, I can shoot. So, you're a slinky type thing, and depending on the formula you fire in different directions. You can flip between the different surfaces. See, what made me curious about this one is there's a Taito prototype arcade game called Bygone that looked like it was trying to do something similar, but is absolutely terrible, and it's not surprising it wasn't released. I'm assuming this is puzzle based though. I'm looking for an exit rather than anything. Okay, I lost a life. No gaming at all happened after 2010. Gaming ended. Is this a boss fight? Oh wow, it's got a boss fight. Now this seems like a cool little game that I've never actually played before. Probably not the best way to do it. Yeah, I'm enjoying this one. I saw it on a PC Engine games list and thought, I want to play that one. It looks like, they say that Bygone done correctly, because Bygone was just a mess. And if Bygone had been like this, it would have been great fun. So it's got puzzle elements, like I'm making a platform there. And there's nothing to jump up to, just jump. Okay. Okay, making another platform now. Can I get to that? Not directly. Missed it. I guess this is just introducing some new gameplay elements to me. I'm a battle slinky, yes. Hey Rockman. How you doing, Rockman? Thank you for joining. The PC Engine just has so many good games though, and this is one of the reasons I love the PC Engine. You just watch videos of PC Engine games and you go, oh, that looks cool, I want to play that, and then you play it and it is actually cool. PC Engine, just such an underrated system. Yeah, it's got a really difficult name as well though. I've never seen that word before. I don't know if it's a real word with a meaning or if it's a name or something. But, so can I get these? I don't know what they do. Do I have any way to go faster? Oh, that's bad. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh yeah, Gamala's Speed is one I played off stream, which yeah, it was good fun. I played that Circus Lido one on another stream as well and really enjoyed that. It's a place in Asia. Ah, okay. My world geography is not the best. I'm wondering how I'm missing a control. Let's pause. Or maybe you just can't get some of the things you pick up. So, yeah, start rolling ZX. Okay. Okay. There must be some strategy I'm not getting. I mean, I can jump to get that, yeah. Turbo speed. Yeah, okay. So if you've got the turbo speed, it's easier to get things. Ooh, colour cycling. Oh. Lost everything? Okay, I should probably just try and get to the end of the level, shouldn't I? Oh, well, maybe I should have watched the time. Ah, okay. Thank you for the education, the lesson. I was unaware of that, and yes, it's actually a great word, a Greek word, you say. A great Greek word. This is quite a great word. So I now know something I did not know before the stream started. And yeah, that's one of the reasons I do this stream, to see what I can learn from people, people watching. And in that case, I have learnt a Greek word. All the incorrect history I need to know. Songs are great for that, aren't they? It's like let's try and dumb down the history to the point it fits in a song and is no longer historically correct. I guess I have to go along the ceiling now? Kind of run out of time again. I'm not convinced by the music in this. It seems a bit messy. Oh, boss room again. Okay, cool. Oh, they kill you too. This is probably a very bad strategy. But it's the only strategy I have. Oh, it worked. I think the music's a bit much. I don't know. It's... Yeah, maybe I'd get used to it. It's not... The music's not doing it for me in this one, unfortunately. But it's maybe just not my style. I like the rest of the game. We've got teleporters now. I guess, yeah, the graphics do have a sort of Greek style to them. Like that wing icon there is kind of Greek looking. These, yeah, I see that actually with the style. Okay, I'm not going to play too much of this one anyway. I mean, I just wanted to give it a try, so I gave it a try, and I actually really enjoyed that one. So, like many a PC game engine, it's probably one I'll be going back to after the stream. So let's see. Middle Riverlands, yeah. Okay. Oh, hey Ryan. Thank you again for joining, and thank you for the 500 Swedish Corona once again. I mean, you don't have to. You sent quite a lot this way yesterday, but thank you. It is always appreciated. I mean, it's an incredible contribution to be making. And it just helped out a lot, so thank you. Right, shall we go with loading noises? Let's go with loading noises. So, apology, I'll probably turn the sound down actually, because loading noises are not always what anybody wants to hear, are they? No. Let's turn scroll lock off. There we go. Now, right. Loading noises are off, so your ears are saved. Let's play a more recent Spectrum home. I don't think it's that recent anymore. Probably good over 10 years old at this point, but Spectrum homebrewish commercial. I can't really say homebrew because it was sold as a commercial game. It's wrong key. Let's speed up the loading. So, how are you doing anyway, Ryan? You still enjoying yourself after payday? That's right. Nice title screen, really. I like a lot of these Spectrum loading screens. They have, again, I use the word a lot, but charm to them. Right. Press key for up, down, left, right, fire, pause. Am I happy? Debatable. Right, now the volume can come back up. And the controls can be disabled. So yeah, 2012, it's newer than 2010. There you go. I mean, it's a simple game, isn't it? It's a Spectrum shooter. It's quite slow, in fact. But I just wanted to play something on the Spectrum because playing a Spectrum game is kind of traditional on these streams, isn't it? And it's called Morty Vicar. I don't know why it's called Morty Vicar. It does not appear to feature any of those things. So, no. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, then arcade games were really ahead of the computers. You got your magazines, you saw your Sega arcade games and your Spectrum magazine. You even had big competitions to win arcade cabinets because they were that impressive. I mean, I think it's more than 2 to 3 years, really. I mean, even the Amiga as a home computer wasn't doing arcade games from the 80s really that well. Some of that was just the development methods, access to the code, but also what it could do. These take too many hits. Now this is going to turn into an avoid them up. Turn. Consoles were a bit of a different story. I mean, obviously consoles could start to do arcade-like games quite early on, except the extreme cases. I mean, it took until the Dreamcast to do whiteboard at home. And yeah, autofire might not help because I think you're limited to like 4 bullets on the screen, so you just limit. Yeah, you can only get 4 bullets on the screen, so you just end up limiting yourself. Like with the shooter I tried earlier, where I put a Mission 660 where I put autofire on it, actually just made it more difficult because I was shooting all the bullets and that was it. I'm assuming I'm meant to shoot the head. If I'm not, then I'm doing this very wrong. There's no visual indication that you're actually doing the right thing, which is not the greatest design in a shooter. If you're doing a shooter, it's always important to give players feedback that they're shooting the right place. Because if they don't know, they could be wasting a long time doing the wrong thing. You know, just a little flicker, a little flash, a little animation. But yeah, I must have been doing the right thing because it did eventually die. Not every game I play on these streams is going to be great. I just, you know, went through the software list and picked a Spectrum game that began with M that I wanted to play. And this was the result. I did fire it up beforehand to make sure it worked, but I've never played this far into it before. There are better Spectrum shooters. Oh, I've got a backfire thing now. There shouldn't be a 5-10 minute delay. I don't know why there would be. It should be about, I would say, 10 seconds. I don't know. It's set to super low latency in YouTube. I mean, maybe if you just refresh the stream, you'll get the latest. I'm not really sure. Somebody was saying it was getting quite laggy yesterday too. Could be a YouTube issue at the moment. Another boss thing already. That's wrecking me. Yeah, 5 seconds. That's more like I'd expect. Okay, that was more T-Vicar. So not one I want to spend too long on, but I did want to do a quick Spectrum game on the stream. And we have a little while left. Shall we stick with non-arcade? I'll stick with non-arcade for one more entry. the Super Cassette Vision, which is a little bit hit and miss in terms of emulation, but the sound is, yeah, there's definitely issues with the sound emulation on Super Cassette Vision. It just tends to beep at you like this. But this is the Super Cassette Vision port of Miner 2049er. And I will play one player, amateur, on scene 1, hopefully. Yeah, P47 is one of those odd arcade games in the arcades too, where we've got what is still considered a Japan set, but it's had the symbols removed from the planes for censorship reasons, and apparently that is an export version, but it still says for use in Japan, so a bit of a confusing on that, even in the arcades. Now this has quite laggy controls compared to other versions of Miner 2049 I've played, unfortunately. But I did want to play something on the Cassette Vision, and this begins with M on the Cassette Vision and is playable, unlike like Milky Princess or whatever the other one is called, that I could not for the life of me figure out. Yeah, these streams are as much as anything about variety and showing different platforms, and I get to do that with this one. Let's clear this first level. Yeah, that tends to happen, Ryan. It's just YouTuber. Sometimes the YouTube will show the latest, you know, the time in the stream is completely wrong, and you'll end up loading and syncing to like 10 minutes ago, like you say. I've had it happen to me on some other streams I've watched, and then eventually realised, oh, there's a slidey thing there, yeah. Here we go. Guess you have to jump that to get there. Yeah, there we go. But Miner 2049 is obviously quite a famous game, but mostly on the you know, the European and American systems. So to have a port on the Super Cassette Vision for Japan is a little different, but it shows that these games that weren't originally from Japan could become popular even in Japan. Yeah, YouTube will also do that. I guess it thinks you'd rather not miss anything than be synced up to real time, which isn't always what you want, is it? Oh dear, I'm doing quite badly at Miner 2049er. Maybe I should start at the top and work down. The use of the slides kind of encourages that. I've been watching lots of abandoned mine videos on YouTube too. So I could even say, you know, instead of slides I should really say ore shoots, shouldn't I? Use slightly more correct terms. Abandoned mine videos are fascinating. It's not even something I thought I'd enjoy, but there's just something about them. Oh, I'm back at the bottom. I think some that kind of thing, exploring abandoned places and the like, it's not too different to what you're doing with emulation. You know, you're looking at history, you're looking at things that have been left behind. The Super Cassette Vision is a fascinating system anyway. There's lots of things to check out on it. That's one of the reasons it'd be really nice is to get the original cassette system emulated, because Epoch, who did the Super Cassette Vision, they were a significant entity back then. I know there was some attempts to dump the Cassette Vision MCUs, and in fact I think they have been successfully done, but the data's not been shared. There was that one where the data, I think some of the data was put on a corrupt web page, so we've got partial dumps, unless I'm getting that mistaken with another system. But yeah, I don't know. I know Sean has some stuff. I think he has some stuff. I say I know. I think Sean has some Cassette Vision stuff, but we don't have it dumped yet. One of those systems where the cartridges just contained an MCU. And this is the follow-up system, which was more traditional in the approach. Okay, game end. The sound emulation needs a few fixes. Like I said, I don't quite know what's up with it, but there you go. Miner 2049 for the Epoch Super Cassette Vision of all things. And I will end the loud whine it was making. And I guess with that, I should move back to playing some arcade games, shouldn't I? Should I play one I'm not very good at? I say that, you know, I'm not very good at most of them. Go back to the 80s. What's the set name? Monster B. Vertical, isn't it? That wasn't me laughing. This is Monster Bash. Let's get the laugh again. Yeah, the Urbex videos, I watch those too, the same as the Abandoned Mines. That's probably why I've ended up swapping between Urbex and Abandoned Mines, because some of the Urbex videos have covered Abandoned Mines, then you just end up down that whole spiral, that whole sort of rabbit hole of things to watch, and they're all fascinating. Just seeing what was left behind, sort of glimpse into the past. This is Sega's Monster Bash. One of those Halloween games. Light the candles, and one of those where I've forgotten what to do. You have to zap Dracula, don't you? Yeah, there we go. Dracula has been zapped. Yeah, although people quite easily forget about physical buildings and they're just there and you don't notice them even in your hometown sometimes because you've sort of mentally blocked them out. It's strange how we do that. Oh, I got. I don't have a strategy for this Sega game. And that's obviously not the way to do it. Jump down zones. Okay. Okay, I see what it's telling me to do. Not get killed. Okay, let's continue this. Team press zap. There we go. Okay. This is one of those Halloween games, of course, that doesn't get played that much on Halloween for some reason. Oh. Dracula is escaping. There we go. We've been zapped. Abandoned tube stations. Again, there's plenty of coverage of the London ones of those. I've not seen any coverage of the Swedish ones, although I do tend to watch, most of the English videos, so I guess it limits what I see in that sense. Unless you've got explorers going around the other countries, but a lot of the ones I watch are more based here or in America. And obviously with the whole situation at the moment, people aren't travelling much anyway. But you do see some that do travel around. I mean, that Proper People channel is really popular, isn't it? And they've done things in Chinese abandoned theme parks, which is, always good to see. No. It's surprising the nature of some of the locations they do cover, though. What am I doing on this level? Apart from running away from things scared. Okay, so the pads do something. The game has completely changed the nature of the gameplay, and it changed with its doors open. Okay, and I can light the candle there. Now that's lit. That makes sense. I've got to get the lizard thing, I guess. This is the big... No, I missed it. Oh, got. Okay, I get it. This is a fun little game, actually. Kind of one I overlooked. I thought it'd be more like one of the Master System games than it is. Yeah, it's got that very good creepy vibe to it as well. Quite a few... Oh, okay, you can't follow them straight through there. Fair enough. I don't know what the benefits to lighting the candles are. I guess they keep away some of the enemies. Can I get you as you're going through? Yes, I can. Yeah, I think if it's one to go and check out, I think. It's a classic Sega game that, again, I don't recall really people talking about. So the cross is lit up. Ooh, don't be there. Let's get that. Get the zap. It kind of reminds me of when Hap asked me to play Mouser, although Mouser I didn't quite figure out. That's a similar house-based platformy thing, although without the whole creepy vibe. So, where do I need to go? Lots of spiders. No, I think I'll follow the pattern. Nope. I got trapped. Actually, if I just go this way... Can I go? So does there have to be a candle lit for the cross to be burning? Nope. The tongue blocks it. There we go. Got you. Yeah. Be careful, the monsters will catch you this time. So it loops. It's obviously not got that many levels, but it gets more difficult. Oh, that's a shame. I thought there might be more scenes, but it looks like there's just the 3 monsters maybe. And they get more difficult. Is it a bit like Burger Time? That's one of the things that puts me off with Burger Time. You have to be very exact in your movements. Oh, okay. So, yeah, you've got your 3 levels then. This is quite forgiving when you press it. You have to be quite close, but not pixel exact. If you're close to the ladder, it will do the walk animation. Stun them. This will put me there, yep. Oh, he ducked under my bolt. So yeah, it gets more difficult with the different stages. Nice little game, this one. So probably not too much to it, but again, for a game from 1982, that is, you know, it's a good game, I would say. Nice Sega game, that one. Ooh, okay. Okay, let's stick with 80s. I've played some for. Mogu-chan. Bootleg? Question mark. By Orca. Now, a lot of Orca stuff might be bootlegs because they used horrible security battery back block things that contain the boot code. So, yeah. No, I don't know if this one did, but quite a few Orca games did from what I could tell. And they've got like probably a RAM chip inside with the real first part of the code. So, eating fruit. Okay. Eating hearts. And the heart goes there. I can go down the holes, I'm sure. Yeah, I can go down the holes and go underground. That's nice. Get the heart. Okay, I can't pick up the enemies when I've got the heart. Learning on the fly. Get this heart. Hey Christian, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Oh, I'm underground. Now I get the heart. Okay, if I get all the fruit, it clears the level. I wonder if there's any more. Did you have some noodles, Bob? Did you have some Maruchan noodles? Did the game serve its purpose of selling you some noodles? So yeah, this has got an overground underground mechanic to it. I like the Mitchell Party Time game, which also has overground underground mechanics, but unfortunately that is an adult game where you are uncovering ladies. So it is not one that will be streamed. Plus it doesn't begin with them. But you can tell if they're above ground or over ground by if they're an outline or not. So yeah, it seems alright. The colour palette is not great. I don't know if it's actually emulated properly, but you know, I think given that we don't even know if this is a bootleg or not, it's probably quite an uncommon game. Hey Yoga, yeah, you're a little bit late, but you know, you can always watch this part of the stream and then when I'm finished, watch the rest on catch up if you want. So thank you for joining. You know, I am always happy for you to be here, and it doesn't matter if you are a little late. So yeah, I'm learning this one on the fly because I've not played it before. The colours don't strike me as right, but it might be a style they're going for. Or maybe I should have read the warning messages at the start. Maybe it tells me that the colours are wrong. Maybe there's undumped proms on it. Just kind of had that look, doesn't it? I will eat my blue bananas. Oh, and not reporting any missing ROMs actually when I load it, so I don't think it's a missing prom issue if the colours are incorrect. But maybe the colours are correct. I don't actually know is the problem. I'm feeling a little bit trapped here. But I managed to finish the stage. Music sped up a bit. I guess the game sped up a bit. Yeah, it's a bit faster. It's a bit faster. There's two of the heart things now, and they have a different effect. Okay. I don't think there's any use for any buttons in this. I think it is just a collector fun. How you doing anyway, Christian? Oh, hey Gangrel as well. Thank you for joining. So I think I'm missing... I'm glancing away from the screen and the messages for me to read right after I glance back. The main bug I fixed, Gangrel, was in the Gundam Final Shooting, which I featured at the start of the stream. When I streamed it yesterday, I noticed that there were quite a lot of sounds missing, or playing the wrong sounds. And then I checked it out, and it turns out the sound loading has been incorrect in MAME since it was added, like, about 15 years ago, whenever it was added. So it was a one-line fix, really, but a one-line fix that makes it sound quite a lot better, because now you get all your gunshot sounds and everything else. So, yeah, this is an odd-looking game, Mogu-chan. Obviously, Mogu is like Mole, because Mogura games and everything Mole-based. It's actually quite good fun, although I think it's a bit shallow. There don't seem to be any other ways to complete the levels other than collecting the fruit. And I'm entirely unconvinced by these colours. I'll give it another credit. In the end, it was a really obvious fix. It was just a case of... Like I say, I reckon that nobody had noticed in the past because the N-Sonic sound emulation wasn't quite as good as it is today, so they probably just thought it was a bug in the N-Sonic sound emulation. But these days, the Ensoniq sound emulation is kind of solid, so when it still didn't work, it seemed like there must be something else going on, and obviously there was. But yeah, quick bug fixes like that are always satisfying. Okay, and you can be whacked there. Okay. I've not looked into the Metal Hawk bug that we discovered. Well, again, that's always been there on the other stream. Yet, I'm sort of mentally preparing myself to look at that one. It's going to require me to log all the parameters and maybe write a custom rotation, pardon me, draw function for it. Oh, I'm doing worse this game. Not going to beat my top score, that is for sure. Yeah, I can kind of see why maybe this wasn't the most hugely popular of games. It's a little awkward to play. So that might be the colours, which I don't think are right. But even so, what am I looking? Where is the remaining fruit? I've got to get the actual that on the left. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's a nice concept, but I think it could have done with a bit more depth. You know, I like the games where there are multiple ways to finish the levels, like Mr. Do or Dig Dug, whereas this doesn't seem to have that. Thank you, Bob. You know, I appreciate it. You know, when you're joining in the streams and everything else, and it's good to be able to talk with the community and the like. So that is all good. And like I say, I don't think I would have found the book if it wasn't for doing these streams, and if the community wasn't here, I'd be less inclined to do these streams. So it all sort of it feeds back into the same thing, which results in improvements to MAME. Anyway, that was say Mogu-chan. It's not too bad, is it? Okay. I think I'm going to go for Mega Tack, which I believe is horizontal and quite old, 1980 by Game Plan. So yes, Century licensed this. Very weak processors, less than a megahertz each. Simple AY sound. A bit of an alarm going on. So it's quite colourful, isn't it? In fact, for a 1980 game, this is very colourful on here. But lots of primary colours. Obviously seems to be a frame buffer base thing, because it seems to be drawing lines. It now looks like it's going to be very slow. But let's attack Meg. Or I don't know, or Mega Tack. Oh, this is a very strange title. It's not even attack with two T's, so it's just a Mega Tack. I mean, I don't think it's related to the movie The Meg, because that came out many years later. It appears to be a relatively straightforward space shooter. Is that my number of lives on the ship? Also, if we're talking about music that's just random sounds, I think we have a winner. This is just random sounds. Yeah, I'm getting very much early 8-bit computer game from this one. Yep, it's just random sounds. Okay, I'm gonna say right now, I don't think this is a classic. Well, I don't seem to have any other buttons, so I'm going to guess lives. Let me just check. Left, right, button 1. I think it must be lives. I only seem to have one button. It's got different enemy types and patterns. It seems to fire in random directions each time. Which is annoying. Again, it's very home computery. Let's innovate in ways that we didn't need to innovate. Okay. At this stage again. I will not blame anybody if they don't immediately jump up and go to play this one. In fact, yes, Lee, I'm playing this and I'm immediately reminded of a game I do have in my list for the BBC. In fact, bye-bye Megatac. If I can remember how to configure this and load this, I did load it off stream, but it was about a month ago. We don't need the lamps at the bottom, do we? Video options, screen on. There we go. Now, is it Star Tape? I can't. This is why I did rehearse how to use the BBC years ago. Not years ago. Is it chain? Quote? Is that correct? I don't know. Or do I have to actually specify mutant? Okay, maybe this works. Yes, Ryan did just fix the Wonder Boy Monster World bug, I believe, and Mega Man. So, yeah, an evening, Santeri. Again, thank you for joining. You have joined quite close to the end once more, but that's all good. I do always appreciate you joining. Right, enter hazard level 1. Oh, I don't know. I'm going to press keyboard. Oh, there we go. Copy is fire. What's copy? End. This is not... Okay. So yeah, when I was playing that last game, I was kind of reminded of this. Although this is a better game. Also, I'm quite amazed I actually managed to remember how to load the BBC game. Because it had been a while. So yeah, BBC Micro, everybody's favourite computer in schools. Actually quite well emulated in MAME. There are a few games I did try and play and struggle with the controls. So I don't know if there's a few issues with the keyboard or joystick emulation on it. Or if you just have to be careful with how you map things, which is quite possible with these computers. But I like the way, in this case, the enemies are firing off their shots in multiple directions. But if you hit them in the middle, you kill them, you know, you get rid of the bullets and the shots before they fire them. Apparently they're mutant spiders, but... Morning, Savuk 2. Thank you for joining. I know you said you're in Australia, aren't you? So you're way different on the time zones. Morning there when it's well, it's getting quite late here. We've got cats poking around the room. I'm watching you. Oh well, Chucky Egg makes up for the rest of them, doesn't it? I mean, don't forget Granny's Garden. We all grew up with Granny's Garden, didn't we? Although that was on other systems too, and it's probably not technically a good game. But you know, it's a memorable game. No, I don't think this is too bad. I think it's maybe a bit easy. It's definitely better than Megattack. Repton was on the BBC too, wasn't it? That's one people usually say was really good. Though I don't think I've ever really spent much time with Repton. But I'm not sure this really gets much more difficult or advances in any meaningful way. It's a nice little concept. Also, Frack's one of the quite well-known BBC games, from what I recall. Quite challenging. And the programmer of Frack has guested on some of the streams I've watched. And how you doing, Santari, and everybody, anybody else who's joined recently, Saruk? Yeah, I mean, I'll probably let these mutant spiders kill me off now. Ooh, that's a nice little beam effect when you die. I want to die again just to see that. Boom. Eeyore. I've not played Eeyore. Was it Zor with a Z? An X. I remember Zor with an X. Hayes did not beat all the spiders. There you go. I think one of the problems with the BBC is, though, you've not really got a great palette, have you? You've just got your sort of main primary colours and not got the flexibility of the spectrum in displaying them either. Azure with a Z. Okay. I might have played it. I think I might have played it on a different platform. Anyway, that was the BBC. It's the puzzle one, isn't it? It's sort of boulder dashy, puzzle based. If it's the one I'm thinking of. What are you doing? Where are you going? Sorry, cat's poking around. Anyway, I'll have to let him be, unless I'm going to go and chase him. He's leaving now of his own accord. He's looking a bit mischievous. Oh, What are we doing? Now, this one is quite recent. It's a handheld device. I'm going to leave it on the monitor display anyway. This is the My Arcade Pac-Man Pocket Player from Dream Gear. It has Pac-Man, Pac-Mania, and Pac-Panic. The Pac-Man thing is probably the most interesting thing about it. Also, I've noticed there are quite a few undumped versions of this. There are various differences. I mean, this one shows 1980 on the screen. Some of the other versions show the actual release date of the unit. Some of them, when you coin it up, well, press the button to coin it up, when you boot the game, they tell you to press the button to coin it up. It's got an extra screen before the game boots. This version doesn't have that screen. It had a sticker on the unit telling you to, use button 2 to insert coins on Pac-Man. So I think all the units had that, but the later ones also had an extra screen. So I'm guessing they must have had people say they can't start Pac-Man or something. So, they added that screen. But this is kind of interesting in the sense that it's a port of Pac-Man, a modern port of Pac-Man, to the Mega Drive type hardware. It's not emulated. This is a port to Mega Drive. This is actually running on a 68K. It's on the Mega Drive. It's a fresh-ish port. I mean, it's from like 4 years ago. So it's actually just a new port, and you can tell it's a new port. Somebody did comprehensively do a teardown of absolutely everything the game gets wrong, and the list is long. As a casual player, you probably won't notice, but there are many errors in this Pac-Man game, which for a recent port isn't the best, because you've got all the original resources, all the original code to refer to, and people have done full disassemblies of Pac-Man. So you would have thought it would get everything right, but it does not. One of the most glaring things you'll hear in a minute: completed the maze. It's playing the start game sound. That doesn't happen. That shouldn't happen. It should only play that start game sound when you start a new game. But yeah, I mean, for a casual player, if you're a casual player of Pac-Man, it is a perfectly good port. I mean, I'd enjoy it. I'm not hardcore into sort of Pac-Man knowing everything about the game. It does get the basics right, but it gets a few things really wrong, like that little tune there that does stand out as wrong, because if you've played Pac-Man to any point, there's not meant to be the tune's not meant to play again. But there are also issues with some of the arcade patterns don't work, and it plays some of the wrong cutscenes. I think it doesn't play them at the right times, and lots of little things that crept in. They could have been done a bit better, maybe, but still, it's interesting in the sense that it is a port of the game to Mega Drive hardware. I mean, Sega VDP and everything else. You can easily extract the Mega Drive ROM from this multi-game ROM and run it on a Mega Drive emulator if you really want to. The annoying thing is, it would be nice to get the other revisions dumped, because we know they exist. But unless you've got the unit in your hand, or you've got somebody who's actually taken a screenshot of the specific moment that shows something different, there don't seem to be any external differences. And we've seen that with quite a few Dream Gear products.